Hey guys, this is another episode of Today's Tomorrow, where we educate, talk, and listen. I'm Jess.
And I'm Matthew.
And this is Today's Tomorrow. So, Matt, how has life been?
Oh, life's been good. Peachy keen. Weather's great. Sky's blue.
So
Yeah.
You want to tell the listeners where you are located, right? Well, not your location, but what are you doing?
What am I doing? Well, actually, I'm currently sitting in my camper, calling in to join you on this podcast. And really, that's the basic bolts and nuts of it. Like, I don't even know, nuts and bolts. You know, one of those sayings, platitudes, colloquial sayings, expressions. Yeah, no, but no, I'm out in
the boonies.
Out in the campground. I mean, civilization is 40, 50 minutes in any direction. So
it's relaxing, though. So,
hell yeah.
So we have a special guest with us today. If anybody does VR, we have VRNosy with us today, and we're going to talk a little bit about VR, everything else. Let's introduce VRNosy. Hey, how are you doing there, Mr. VRNosy?
I'm doing good.
You going good? All right. So I do want to disclose this. We have done a talking with VRNosy in season 2, I believe it was. And
oh yeah.
So, do you remember that, VRNosy?
I do not remember.
You were part of our YouTube video at the ending.
You stuck a clip.
I did.
In there. I do remember that.
I did. There was a clip at the end of it. So I said I would close with this, and it was VRNosy laying in his bed.
I think I got a text message from you of it right after you finished your. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, that was a while ago. So, you do VR. You don't go camping. You're actually up here visiting, huh?
Yeah, and no, I don't go camping. I haven't been camping in probably 15 years, actually.
15 years.
Yeah, and I do a lot of VR. I actually haven't been doing it as much over the last year, but been playing since 2016, and that's mostly what I do with my spare time when I'm looking for something to kind of kill the time.
Yeah.
And I've played with you a lot.
Yeah, you have. You have played with me. I played with both of you in VR.
But we all haven't played together.
We have not. We have not all played together, but we've all played the same game.
Population 1.
Population 1 is a one game we have all played
Pop
together.
1?
Yeah. Usually I'm carrying... You know, that's weird. I've come to realize this. When I play video games with either of you two, usually my back starts hurting.
Yeah. I bought you a back brace for that very reason. Let's be honest.
I mean,
what do I always say? I hope you have a good chiropractor, because your back's about to hurt. Because you have to carry me so freaking hard.
But
I die a lot.
You do die a lot. You both die a lot.
Yeah, well, it sounds like we have the same motto. Try again, and let Just win.
Yeah, so, you know, it's... Me and Matt played, what was that, Call of Duty DMZ. And he would die, and then I'd come in, and I'd destroy the team that took him out. Like, single-handedly.
You told me about that.
Yeah. Like, I took everybody out. And Matt's like, well, holy shit. And then he had this arrangement with this other team not to kill us. And we won't kill them. And I came in and I took them all out.
Yeah, you turned me into a real liar that day. I wanted my loot.
Look good for sure. That was a good look.
Yeah.
You didn't die. I didn't die. They died.
That time, you know how many times you've done that? I've died and I did not exfil. You're a jerk.
I try. It's like playing Population 1 sometimes.
So, Matt, he mentioned to me earlier you don't play a lot of VR, though.
I don't. I dabbled with the Oculus 2. I think I tried like maybe 5, 7 different games, and it didn't take. I really didn't like. Pop 1 was great. I really liked that. But I prefer to play in a squad, so because I'm not that good. So,
do you like battle royales? Is that something that you stick with outside of VR? Have you ever played a lot of battle royale games?
I don't personally prefer that mode, just because I'm on my own, right? And as previously stated, I'm not very good. So I prefer to roll with a team so they can carry me.
I've noticed in the past, myself and Gunther, we have mostly played battle royales.
Yeah.
There was Rec Royale, and then...
But a lot of squad. He doesn't like the individual. I don't think Matt likes the individual battle royale. I think he likes being part of a team, like battle royale.
Correct.
If I'm correct. Yeah, okay. So he liked playing when it was multiple people on the team. Just like he likes playing DMZ and the Call of Duty as a team. And he's new. He likes Halo too. And so I like battle royales sometimes. Sometimes they get old really quick. Call of Duty.
Here's my shtick. If I get into an FPS and I spawn in and then I die, and I spawn in and I die, at that pace, I'm not having fun. So it's about having fun, right? Games are about having fun. So if I'm having fun, I'll play it. And I don't mind to suffer a little bit, right? Because you got to suck before you get good. I get that. But I usually would prefer something I could just jump in and out and I don't have to put a lot of time into. So that's why I need good players to help carry me in order to have a good time. I love you, Jest.
Yeah. It seems like I'm that person whenever I play with anybody.
You've definitely carried me in a lot of games. I won't lie about that fact.
At least he's good for something.
He flies around the map, though, so when I die and I needed reviving, he would be on the opposite side of the map. It always
you too?
Yeah, every time.
Yeah, no, I like being part of a squad and staying together, but sometimes we got to move fast, right? The slower you are, the bigger of a target you are. And I'm so used to, military is you keep an eye on each other, you follow the person in front of you, you move at their pace. But when there's a tendency of Matt and Goulenpool not keeping up with me, I'm used to I just assume that you're right behind me, and I turn around like, well, shit.
You're sugarcoating this turd because, you'll just move on, not say a word, and then, 5 minutes later, you'll look at your mini-map and be like, hey, you're not keeping up.
The funny thing is, when he dies, though, he wants to revive right then. It's revive, I'm dead, revive. But when you're the one that's dead, he's on the other side of the map.
But...
Oh, immediately! You need to cross 5 clicks to come and revive me. So you should be at least halfway here by now.
But if I'm dead, I know you guys can't fight off the enemy anymore. That's why I'm like, oh, revive me. So
I did well once or twice because as the saying goes, even a blind squirrel finds a nut from time to time.
My games are always really weird because I either do really well or I do really bad. I've had games where I'll get 13 kills, and then the very next game I'll have 1, or I'll just have damage.
And it's with Pop 1, I mean, we've gone on a trip before where we won 13 in a row?
14 one time.
But yeah, we just sweep the board, and it's I get all excited. And then the games I get 14 kills in, which is a large amount of people, and we end up losing.
And we used to play another game on Steam that was a battle royale.
Yeah, Standout.
And we did Standout, and we did really well on that game as well. We got really hardcore into that, and then we switched over to Pop 1. Why did we switch?
No, we went to
Rec Royale.
Rec Royale. And then they kind of get boring with all the kids, and then Pop 1 came out, and you were on the fence about it. I got it. And then you got it, and then you got addicted to it.
Yeah, because PSVR 1 released.
Yeah.
And all the kids flooded the game.
Yeah.
And we couldn't handle it anymore.
Yeah.
Too many screaming kids on there. And Population 1 has kind of veered now, slowly, in that direction as well, because they made it free, and all the kids are starting to come more and play that game now, kind of like Rec Royale, so...
But it's that population. It's that population that's where I get my kills in. So I take the screaming because then I get to rack up my kills.
It's the experience you get. Well, we did have a teammate once. It was a little kid. And I think he had a hard knock in life. But remember we played with him and he saved our ass.
There are some kids out there that can really whoop butt in the game and take you for a surprise for sure.
Yeah. So...
I think those are just adults with the child voice filters, to be honest.
You think so?
Yeah.
There's some out there that I know. There's definitely a handful of kids, and usually when they die, I let them stay dead, just because they're annoying, and usually they'll just leave the game.
Right. It's almost like kids come out of the womb with controllers in their hands now. It's crazy.
Yeah. And we played. I remember playing Pop One with Matt, and the first time he was not a fan. It was what, before I finished my basement. You played downstairs, right?
Somewhere in the house, that's for sure.
Yeah, you played it downstairs, and I was in the living room, and I think we won. And I think you were so mad because I don't think you get any kills, and I did really good. And then the next game, I did horrible. And you did all the work.
I don't get mad. I don't get mad for not getting kills. I get mad for getting killed all the time, and or for having my battle buddy just run off into nowhere, and he's not covering my 6 because I'm supposed to be covering his 6 allegedly.
But one thing I do though is I'll use one of my teammates as bait.
You do.
I do that. I'll use you as bait to draw in people because I realize, oh, there's a stupid person. They don't know what they're doing. And until they rush into you, and then I'm there, and I just pick them off. So,
and then I'm like, revive me, and he's like, wait, I have to loot first.
Have you played Population 1 since the last update?
No, not at all.
So they changed,
I actually don't even have my Oculus 2 anymore.
They changed up a lot of things. So like now the loot is in, what was it, crates, where you had to go to the crates and you open them. It was almost similar to Rec Royale. And when you die, rather than having to wait for your teammate to revive you, you just respawn. So it was very similar to Rec Royale. And I think this is just on the newer version of the game that they released on a specific map that they have. I didn't like it as much. Just liked it. I think he enjoyed it more than I did.
I was actually fairly good at it. I was shocked.
No, I did like that I didn't have to walk around dead waiting for a revive, but
it's always a nice perk. You know, they throw that one in there for the kids, but on occasion, sometimes we adults get the benefit.
Yeah, no, it was nice to have not having a revive, because I mean, Mr. over here, VRNosy, he'll die a good 13 times in the game. It's
yeah, I will.
That's it?
No, I mean, in a
Beat
game,
my high scores.
I mean, in a game where usually you only die like it's hard to revive a teammate, and you probably get revived once or twice, but I end up reviving him like 13 times, and it's.
But I've had my games where I've got like 13 kills in a row, and I'm like just going on this crazy spree of kills. And I do really well. I don't understand how I do so good on some games, and then some games I'm really bad. But you always told me I was very consistent at being inconsistent.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
You are not a consistent player when it comes to being good every game. You're consistently horrible at being good every game.
Hey, I resemble that remark.
You do the same, but you'll up me sometimes, which is over my head.
I'm usually partaking of a particular substance. It allows me to hyper-focus, and I just get into a flow state, and then it's kill them all.
And I get excited playing.
Now, Jess, you've had some bad games.
I've had really bad games before, but it doesn't happen as often.
Because I remember.
I was going to say, what was your last bad game? 2019?
No, in VR, I've had like a bad night before and a bad week, which made me not want to play for like a good month or two.
It's really weird because I never play with you on games that are not in VR. And I don't play a lot of games outside of VR.
Well, we played Forza.
We did play a lot of Forza. Forza Horizon 5. We played that for probably close to 6 months. And then I kept playing and you stopped.
Yeah, I beat the game. I was like, well, I'm not having fun anymore.
They added more stuff.
But then the new Forza 7 came out. Motorsport 7, I think that's what it's called.
Have not played it, but they did.
It's a good game.
So why only the VR now? Like, what's the attraction for you? What do you like about it?
I was never a hardcore gamer. I got into VR for media, and I really started playing the games. And I had real life friends who got the VR headsets which was attracting me to want to, interact with them and play in VR. And so I got into playing games, and then, of course, he had a headset as well, so it was just, let's hop in and play with, play this game with each other. And I got really into where I enjoyed it. And so that got me into playing other games. So then I started playing PC games, and then I got a PS5. But it wasn't really anything where I was like, I'm just going to play VR. It was just that kind of attracting me into the gaming world. And I'm still figuring out what games I like. I play a lot of GTA, which Gunther hates. But I like car games. I think that and battle royales. Those seem to be what I get into the most.
Now, I noticed that you don't like change when it comes to battle royales, though.
It depends on the change. A lot of the change, to me, I think I didn't like the change with Population 1 because they changed the entire mechanics of the game, and I wanted updates, but those weren't. I wasn't looking for like the entire mechanics of the game because that's a new game. Weather, vehicles, those things would have been updates to me.
Yeah.
They never. The problem with Population 1 is years went by and they never added updates. And when they finally did, they just changed.
It was just pretty much skins the whole time.
A new game.
And, I feel like they took the easy way with the game.
And I stopped playing in a big part over the last year because I haven't done any videos since the release of the Quest 3, I think was the last video I did. And I really haven't been playing as much, and part of that is just because of a lack of games. You play the same game for 2 years straight, and you kind of want something else. And we were talking about that earlier because it's like a lot of the games that you see in VR are the same games that they had from 2016. Robo Recall, and a lot of those games have been around forever, and they still push them. And I think what VR really needs is new content. They were supposed to release GTA San Andreas, I think it was, for the Quest, and I don't think that is ever going to happen. And you don't really have...
Right, and even that's not a new game, that's a re-release, and anybody else who's played that thoroughly on another platform is going to be like, well, what's new?
Exactly. And then the PSVR 2 came out, and I got one of those, and it had no games on it, really. So I think that flopped. And Jess was saying, he thinks VR is slowly dying. And I don't know if I agree with that, but I don't think it's not evolving at the rate at which I wish it would for somebody who was very, very into VR and played it all the time.
Well, my take on it was it's the first time I've ever said VR is dying. And the reason why I say that is I backed VR when it slowed off. Each time I backed VR, and it's like it's growing, but you don't hear about VR like you used to. You've had a company who contacted you, which you worked with in the past, saying they're not making accessories for something. And they're telling you, like, don't be concerned, don't be worried. They're not going to make stuff anymore, and you don't see the commercials for it very often anymore. A lot of companies are not doing it or backing out of it, and that's happening at a fast rate.
Well, the failure of the PSVR 2, which I say failure, but I mean, I don't know if it was a failure, but the fact that they're now saying, hey, you can use this with the PC, buy this dongle and use it with the PC.
Well, now it's selling out.
Yeah. But it makes you wonder, is it the software or the hardware? I don't think it's the hardware, personally.
No, I think it's the competition. I think Meta has taken the competition too far, and it's hurt VR. I mean, from an outsider, since Matt doesn't play VR regularly, I don't know how Matt looks at it, but to me, I think it's Meta has taken out all the competition where it's not a fair fight, and then Meta is not consistently putting things out, and the smaller companies can't afford now to do anything. So
they need big name games like Halo and VR, something along those lines.
Well, that would have to be Microsoft.
Or they could do a Nintendo thing where they just kind of create their own path, like a new series of games, like something out there that it's not already out there. It's not a re-release. It's not an adaptation to VR headset. So the way I view all this stuff as I'm a very interested consumer, and I know what I'm kind of looking for and what my expectations are. And it just kind of seems like a hogwash. It's like, hey, we've got this great hardware. And I'm like, cool. What are you writing for it? well, dot, 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 and kind of it's like, here we are. So I think that there is an interest out there for it. Meta, I absolutely agree, really got in the way of it. Like, it was really frustrating for me where I could not separate like my Facebook account from like my VR Meta account. Like, they went hand in hand. And Facebook, like, it's a separate product. And I'm not crazy about it. I've been on Facebook, off Facebook, on Facebook, and off again. And it's like, as soon as that one time I deleted my Facebook, they're like, well, you can't use your VR headset anymore. I'm like, well, okay, now I'm out. I'm done.
So what should Meta change to get people back into VR? What would be... I think they have come along now and said you don't have to have a Facebook to use the headset anymore. You can create just a Meta account for VR. But what do you think it would take for VR to really become mainstream?
Well, so you think, or is that verified? Like, you don't actually have to.
You don't have you don't have to have a Facebook account any longer. You just have to create a Meta account and connect your Meta account to your headset, which you can sign in. You can download the application and not have to have a Facebook account. They get a lot of feedback, and I remember this all happening. I was excited, and then when I had to create. I had a Facebook account attached to it, but then I had to create a Meta account, and I was worried, well, is my stuff going to transfer over? And if you know me, I used to get kicked off of Facebook all the time and put in Facebook jail, and I'd not be able to play my VR
superpower.
Headset. Yeah, I'd get put in Facebook jail, and then I wouldn't be able to use my VR headset, which I hated. So yeah, I can confirm Facebook accounts and Meta accounts are separated. So I can say that. So back to what you're saying, Matt.
No, I guess to answer the question, I think a lot of companies are shooting themselves in the foot by trying to be solely proprietary in their platform and in development. I think they block a lot of creative, content creators just in general. So I don't know. Is it a problem with management within Meta? I don't really, or Meta. I don't really know. I'm not on the up and up there, but from what we've seen from a lot of these large companies is usually they get in their own way. So I don't know what they would need to change precisely, but it's like, stop being greedy. Start opening these platforms up. Make it easier for developers to kind of like what Steam does. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. They need better games. So Meta has the best, in my opinion, software as far as the VR headsets goes. I don't like Steam VR software. Some people do. It's just
I've always loved Steam.
Yeah, and I don't like it as well. But to me, Meta has the best like software. But when it comes to games, I mean, there's a lot of good games out there. But the problem is they don't come often enough, and there's not as many good games as there are just short, quick experiences. And people don't want to pay $700 for a headset for a 5-minute experience. They want something they can get involved in. The one thing that has gotten better, when I started doing the little videos that I would do, doing reviews, it was for products that would come out for VR because nobody was doing them. And then like everybody started doing them. And they had all these different accessories for the Quest 2, the Quest 1, the Rift, the Quest 3. And really, actually, I say that the Quest 3 got to the point to where you didn't have to buy a bunch of third-party accessories at the rate you did because they actually got everything right. The Elite Strap, they called it on the Quest 2. I hated it. I love it on the Quest 3. The facial interface was extremely uncomfortable on the Quest 1 and the Quest 2. I love it on the Quest 3. So they actually did a really good job of fixing the need for a lot of third-party accessories.
Well, that's encouraging.
But what the downside of that, though, is the really, really good accessories are not there now.
There were some that were really good that we may not be able to get again. And that part does kind of... it kind of blows, I think. But for me, I think the games and the software side, that never caught up to, they fixed all the other problems with the headset. They made it more comfortable, etc. But the games didn't go along with it.
So my take on that, you both kind of hit it. But my take on it is, honestly, I blame Meta. Meta is the root. I think I talked to you about this earlier. I feel the root cause of the industry of virtual reality and AR, augmented reality, kind of faltering right now is because Meta did so much of buying out every company out there.
But they also did more for VR than any other company.
They have done more, but the problem is they've bought every video game developer that does VR. And so now they are owned by Meta, and all those companies have not made second games.
That's true. So, like the makers of Beat Saber.
Yeah, they have not made second
1.
games. They haven't made any changes. Pop 1 was the same game for years. They just updated it. The big box hasn't made any other games since then. None of these other developers have. There's very few developers who have made more games.
Do you think PlayStation is now done with VR? Do you think there will be a PSVR 3?
I don't think we'll ever see another PlayStation headset. I think PlayStation might get into the consumer area for PC, because how good it's selling right now just for PC. I don't see PlayStation ever making another headset again.
So here's another question for you.
Well,
go ahead, Matt.
I was going to say, well, it's all about like supply and demand, right? If there is a resurgence in VR, I absolutely see Sony coming back to the table.
I want to say that, but I mean, Sony gets very hesitant and cocky. He said, "Oh, no one wants a handheld." After the Vita, no one wants a handheld. They just want PlayStation 5. And now you look at the resurgence of handheld gaming, and I think PlayStation's like, well, we might have screwed that one up. And
Nintendo was like, thank you.
So, like, you have Nintendo, Steam, you got all the other companies making handhelds.
Was Xbox right for not making a VR headset? I used to give them so much crap for not having a headset, and I bought a PS5 instead of an Xbox because it didn't have the headset. But were they right all along? Because, I mean, you know, with the PSVR 2,
Microsoft already had their endeavor with VR, with mixed reality headsets, and then with the Halo. And I think they knew... I remember them saying, and this was like 2014, 15, when they said the first time, we're not going to do a VR headset till the technology is there that you don't have to have cables. So, and that was years ago.
That was before the Quest.
And that's when they were
3 wireless came out.
And that's when they were selling a little bit more consoles. Microsoft has been hurting right now. So
here's another question: how do you think the Apple headset, the VR headset from Apple, have you heard of that, Matt?
I have not.
So Apple has a new VR headset that is, I mean, it's got everything you could ever want, but it's not really made for gaming. How do you think that's going? Do you think that'll change the landscape of VR for the future?
I think the headset.
Sounds like it's made for adult content. Then, if it's not made for gaming,
no,
it's made for work and productivity.
There's gaming on there. And it's games we play on our Quest and whatnot. And it uses hand tracking, and it's like the punching, kind of like Beat Saber, right? And I played it. I have a friend who has one. You were surprised when I didn't buy one.
I was really surprised.
You were surprised I didn't buy one, and I was like, $3,500. Gotta wait a little bit. And I
was gonna say, Apple doesn't make anything that is like affordable for, you know, families with multiple kids. Like, I mean, I would imagine that is pretty niche.
And
but you said, Glenn, can you talk about the productivity that you could, like, what can you, I mean, that's kind of interesting, right?
You can do you can do work, like put your MacBook Pro screen on there, which I think is really cool. And
you can type in the air.
You can type in the air. You can use your hand. It watches your hand. It has amazing tracking, which for Apple, who's never done any of this, and how good it is, I can't see Apple faltering.
So I was against it in the beginning because it had from what I understand, I don't think it still does, no Steam VR support. And so the games that I were used to playing on my Meta headsets would not be accessible to me via the Apple headset. And I was kind of like, well, what's the point? I can't see yes, I can watch a movie in VR, but I can also do that on my Quest 3, which is, you know, way, way cheaper.
It's cheaper, but the quality, I had you get that app once, remember? Have you tried it yet?
I have not actually tried it yet.
Well, you need to do things. Right. I tell you to do them.
I haven't put on my headset recently at all.
So it's really nice. I'll say this: if I didn't have the stuff I have now, I would have bought. it. I've tried it. I really like it. It's what I'm waiting for is them to lower the price.
I started to say I kind of do want one because I could see me using it, but can I validate a almost $4,000 price tag for that? And I think it's
because it starts off at 3,500, and that's for the bare bones. And if you want more memory, you want all this other stuff. And what's nice, you can download your videos on it. You can't do that on the Quest. You can download videos, music, apps, and use it not connected to the internet. So flying on a trip, that's awesome. But the new one that they're talking about, Apple hasn't confirmed anything. But you know how leaks are. They are talking about the next one going to be cheaper, maybe $1,500.
That would be exciting.
And it runs off your iPhone. And I know when I talked to you, you said I would switch to an iPhone for that.
Oh, yeah, totally. I definitely would. So I've been on Android now for about 4 or 5 years. I was iPhone before that, and I haven't really looked back, but I have been thinking about it, switching back for the FaceTime and stuff. And if they came out with something for augmented reality or VR, I would 100% switch back.
The iPhones are powerful. I really like my iPhone. I have 2 phones. And one is actually, I got one because it's cheaper, but like I added a line, but I have the new Fold 6, and I like it.
Garbage! Hot garbage! Don't put a line in my screen. Are you kidding me?
No, I like it. I can't really tell.
I'm looking at it right now, and I mean, it does look nice. I like the fact that it kind of looks like a tablet.
Yeah, no, I really like that about it. It's Apple. It might make something like this someday. I don't know, but I have AR glasses. They're called the Rokid Air Max, something Max. And I like those, and they plug in the USB Type-C port on either the Android phone or my iPhone.
And Matt, to be clear, the Apple VR headset that we're talking about is also a augmented reality headset. In fact, I think it might actually be known more for its augmented reality than its virtual reality.
Okay, which is kind of cool. I mean, like, let's be honest, like, some of the newer sci-fi movies, I'm a Star Trek fan. I mean, I like it all, but it's cool when you see them, like, tapping stuff in the air, right? Like, I think Marvel really, Disney, when they first did the Avengers and stuff, and Tony Stark is, like, working, in essentially an augmented reality, but obviously CGI, so it's real time for him. That is cool. That I would love to play with something like that. And so my question is, right, so I had the Oculus 2, now we're on Oculus 3. This Apple product is out now. Like, what are, like, the top 3 or 4 competitors for VR? Where do you get started? So we were talking about how Apple's a little bit more augmented reality versus virtual reality. Between these headsets, do some do both? And also, like, because we're going to have listeners here who are probably where they're in my seat. They don't really know, but they kind of want to know. And where would you get started? For what demographics? And if it's VR and gaming, like, what would be a couple games you would recommend and why?
If you have very little money, the Quest 2 is very affordable right now. But the Quest 3 is so much better on every single level. And it also has augmented reality, to answer your question.
Within reason.
Within reason. If you can afford that price tag on the Quest 3, it is 100% worth every bit of the upgrade. And to be honest with you, while there are other headsets, I don't know that it's worth buying any other headset right now, except for maybe the Apple headset. And that's if you're going to go for that ultra high-end, $3,500 price tag. Their Meta really has perfected VR. And while they might have kind of taken over the, and like he was saying earlier, and buying all the companies, the development companies, I think that they really do have probably the best bang for your buck and technology and everything experience-wise wrapped into one. Now, you have a headset that I don't have, and that's the Pico.
Yeah.
But it's closer to the MetaQuest 2 than it would be the 3.
Came out right after MetaQuest 2. It has the same chip, but Meta underclocks things and Pico overclock things. It's funny because both of them are owned by big social media companies. Pico is owned by ByteDance, which is TikTok, and the Quest 3 is owned by Facebook. So
and the only other alternatives are really expensive PC VR headsets like the Valve Index, Big Screen VR. There's Vive, which
they really don't even sell.
Vive Pro is still out there.
HTC's trying to make a pushback. I don't think so. If I were to say the top three, like companies for VR, I'd say the best one would probably let's put the most money into it.
Meta and Apple is
Meta and Apple and Pico. Pico makes really good headsets. They're just not sold in
So
America.
I started out with the HTC Vive, and I loved it. I mean, the cord was something to get used to. But then I went to the Oculus 2, and I was like, I prefer the just kind of plug and play, the mobility, right, the freedom that you get. That was awesome, but then it was kind of like a step down in quality. So is the Oculus 3 like kind of an amalgamation of the two? Does it come together? Are the graphics better? I mean, is it the same games? Are there new games? What's the backwards compatibility there, if there is any?
So with the Quest 3, a lot of the games, all the games that you own on your Quest 2 work on the Quest 3, which I like. But there are games that are only for the Quest 3 because the power they need, and the storage. If you have like a 64 gig, Quest 2, there's some games out there that are not going to fit on it.
And they recalled all of those, right? Didn't they? The 64 gigabyte Quest 2s and changed them out for the 128?
No, I don't. Well, they might have. I don't know. I didn't hear anything about that, but I can't imagine they would do that voluntarily.
I was thinking maybe they stopped selling.
They stopped selling them. They stopped selling them. But the games on there are good. Everything you bought on your Quest 2 works on the Quest 3. There's some games that are no longer supported or backed because they're older, and some companies are like, okay, this game is 5 years old. Let's move on to something new. Like, I mean, I've been doing VR for 10 years. That's almost going on 10 years.
2016, we both started. I started a little bit before you, and then you started.
I had the HTC Vive, and I also had the PlayStation VR.
And Matt, to reflect on something you said earlier, so the HTC Vive, which you started off with, that was a #1 headset back in the day when they first started. I mean, them and Meta which was Oculus at the time, were neck and neck, and they, I think, just kind of fell off the board a little bit. Some of their hardware just wasn't up to par. They released a couple headsets where everybody got excited. They went out and bought it, and then the tracking wasn't there, or something was just off.
Oh, the tracking was always there.
Well, there was one you bought, the Cosmos or something, that you really hated
inside-out tracking.
The tracking on it. Yeah, their sensor tracking was perfect.
Yeah.
But they started, as the technology changed, and Meta was really pushing the wireless, the inside-out tracking, they tried doing that, and they didn't do it near as well, at least at launch.
Yeah, I will say that nothing touches lighthouses for tracking. I mean, the tracking is really good these days. Nothing touches what the Vive and the Index offered. Nothing.
I don't think people want the sensors, though. They don't want to mount them. They don't want to have to deal with them anymore. And I think that's why PC VR never took off the way the standalone
I feel like
did.
it's more for people with money.
You had to have a designated room for that, and I mean, you had to have the space. I think that's where Meta really shined. Was whether you are in your RV trailer, you're in an apartment, you're in a house, like you could take that thing on the go. You could just set up and just play, which is beautiful.
You can use the Quest 3 anywhere as long as you got the room, to move around. Absolutely. And I started off on the Rift 1 when he had the Vive, and it was. I had the sensors as well, and they weren't as good as the lighthouses. And I had to have 3, one behind me, and the setup was horrible. So I don't miss the sensors. I don't own lighthouses. I've never had a headset that required them. But I don't know that I want to go back to that either. I prefer the inside-out tracking. Now, I have a very high-end PC that I could play any game I want on it, and I actually find that I do more I don't want the cords. I don't want the wires. I don't want to have to set up sensors. I want it all just wrapped in one. And so when I do play, I use the Quest 3 more than anything else because I don't have to do all the setup. And I think, especially with the average consumer, that's what they want. And a lot of people who are getting into VR, I honestly think, are the younger kids that parents buying it for Christmas. And I don't think they want to set that up either.
I feel that people do it to play Beat Saber. And once they do that, they're done. And that happens to a lot of people.
Yeah, I think that everybody that I've tried got into Beat Saber.
Oh, Pistol Whip was my game. Love Pistol Whip.
Pistol Whip, very similar to Beat Saber, actually.
Yeah, I just feel that.
So instead of beating lights, though, you're shooting dummies. I love that. It's great.
It's like Super Hot almost.
They might as well just call it John Wick. Like, really.
No, that was a good game. I got it, and I returned it because I was like, oh, okay.
It was never 2-player, though, right?
No. Not when I was playing it. And I got it, I bought it, I'm like, oh, played it for like 40 minutes. I'm like, okay, that was fun. And then I returned it because I didn't see myself playing it more than that one time.
The biggest thing for me when I look for VR games is I look for if it is going to be multiplayer. I can get into a single player game for a good maybe 10 to 15 minutes. And after that, I want to go into something where I can interact with people, talk to people, in one way or another.
Yes.
Whether it's an open world or it's a tennis match, I want to be able. That's the reason I go into VR. I like being able to interact with old friends, meeting new people. I like that about VR, especially in the open worlds. And I can't get into the single player games. And I've noticed that you have like Athgard's Wrath. You have a lot more of those coming out. And I don't know if I'm alone in my opinion of wanting multiplayer in VR more than single player, or
no, not at all. I mean, if you're going to play a single player game between PC, Xbox, PS5, I mean, like those are where the single player games are at. You got the graphics, mechanics. I mean, like I just think that when you get into VR, like you are in an immersive world, and if you can be sharing that with somebody, with a community, that's the allure, right? Like. It's like VR. If you do Wii bowling and on VR, it's like, okay, who needs to go to a bowling alley, right? Like, again, you're just having that side by side. And in Pop One, that's what I liked, right? Is having a community where you can talk to other people and they can help you with gameplay, give you tips on the go. This is how you do this. This is how you do that. Like you're going to build your community up quickly, and there's going to be a lot more of an appeal and attraction, I think, for those kinds of gamers.
Now, my take on this is I like playing multiplayer games. It's fun. That's what I usually play on my PC. On my Steam Deck, I don't play multiplayer games. The thing sucks from that completely. VR, I'm in the middle. There are games I love that are not multiplayer. There's games that were multiplayer that are no longer multiplayer.
But how often do you play VR and play by yourself? Because a lot of times there will be months that go by and we don't play.
I'm forced to play with my. Okay, that sounded wrong.
We don't get on VR with one another.
Wow.
I'm forced to.
Sounds like you guys need to go to VR counseling to me.
I'm forced to play certain games without multiplayer. I'll say that because it sounds more appropriate. There's a racing game that came out a while ago on the Quest 2, and I really wanted to play it as on the fence because everybody's like, oh, the graphics are horrible. Well, I bought it, but I had a 30% off discount, and I'm like, well, we'll see if I don't want. And I totally forgot that I got it. And it's a racing game. It's grind, something like that. And I played it, and I was like, oh my gosh, these graphics are horrible. And it's an EA game. And I was like, oh man, this is bad. And well, they did an update for it to work with the Quest 3 with the graphics. And I put it at like 125% resolution and the highest frame rate as I could. And it looked really good. But I swear to God, within 2 weeks of that game getting out, they closed down the multiplayer. And that's what I was really looking forward to, is racing against other people in VR.
That would have definitely got me into the game if I could have. Yeah, I love racing game. I love car games.
It's still fun. You can still play the game, and there's hundreds of races you could do. And it's like Forza. It's really like Forza. And at first, I was like, oh, what kind of update do they do to make the graphics look better? This looks horrible. Then I realized you got to play opening intro, and then you gotta kind of do it. But it takes a while to set up, and it took me a while.
There was a game that I played back in, this would have been 2016, 17. I was still on the Rift CV1 at the time, and it was as good a graphics almost as like, I had a pretty good PC for that time frame, but the graphics were, you felt like you were actually in the car. The graphics were great. It was almost like a NASCAR type game. I don't remember what it was called, but as far as actually feeling like you're driving down the road, I mean, you could almost get car sick driving down the road, and you felt like you were actually driving. I have not experienced any other game like that since we went to standalone.
Yeah, no, there was a game I played on the PlayStation VR, a racing game, and I really liked it. Really liked it. Graphics weren't the best, but I liked the game. And now that
what's it called?
I don't remember the name offhand.
Ugh.
But it was on the first PlayStation VR. I really had fun playing the game. The graphics weren't the best. The 3D, but now that Gran Turismo is out, I want to get to PlayStation VR again just for Gran Turismo.
So Gran Turismo is a VR game.
It is the one that they have now, the PlayStation VR 2.
Did not know that. That might be worth checking out.
I really want to get another headset just to play that. I love racing games, and to put myself. I don't know because I have only had the PlayStation VR 2 for like 2 weeks. Like I can't do this, and I got rid of it. But can I use a racing wheel?
You get the whole setup, get the pedals, the wheels.
That's what I'm saying. Does the PlayStation let you do that?
I'm sure they do, but I don't know. They have to, right? Like,
well, I don't know. That's why I haven't done it because those headsets and the racing wheels are not cheap, and I don't use my PlayStation.
My guess would just be no off the bat because there hasn't been a large enough attraction to the headset. Like, if you can build the player base, then the development in these accessories will absolutely come.
Yeah, because I know they have racing wheels, but is it compatible with the headset?
Yeah, because I think a lot of people who are doing that might be on PC.
Yeah, I know that. I know that. But
I've seen people who
the headset itself. I would love to use that headset itself. I love the screen. I love the eye tracking. I love all that. How they use the power, and I love to play that game.
The PSVR 2 was an amazing headset. The eye tracking was such a wow factor the first time I tried the experience. And I used the headset for maybe an hour, and then I've had it for months and months, and I've never used it. And that was because there weren't really any games. I think with the PC, I could definitely see me using that headset again. But it's also, I still go back to the Quest 3, and it's just the ease of use of that. I don't know that, is it worth enough? Is the PSVR 2 enough of a wow factor to tell somebody to go out and buy that over a Quest 3 if they have the PC to use with it?
My graphics for my PC, if I use PC, I would go PC all the way because the graphics. The Quest 3 is great. The PC VR is the standard. If you want quality, PC VR is the standard.
PC VR, but the Quest 3 is the very first thing that you told me when you first tried the Quest 3 was, oh my god, it's as good as PC VR. Now I know that was a stretch. I know you didn't actually.
I was comparing it to like Population 1, because Population 1, once you play it on the Quest 3 and you compare it with PC, you can squeeze out like resolution a little bit more on PC. You can kind of push a little bit more for frame rate. But the Quest 3 was pretty good, but the graphics aren't there. They're more cartoony. PC,
Well, just ask Nintendo about that. That doesn't stop them or their revenues.
Well, and the truth is, you plug even a Quest 3 into a PC, it's not like you're actually connecting to a display port or HDMI.
I got mine to work wirelessly. And you're like, well, I can't get mine to work. But I got mine to work, and I just use it as a hotspot, and I just connect off of that hotspot, and the computer figures it out.
Well, my problem was I didn't have my router next to me in the bedroom where I was playing for so long. And when I finally did get it back there, I stopped playing as often.
Yeah, no, I would do standalone with the PlayStation VR. With that, I could see myself doing that. I think I even said, remember when I said if they ever got this to work with PC, I'd buy one again.
So Matt, I think to answer Matt's question from way earlier, right? was what headsets would you recommend? What brands? So I think the answers might be, for the average person, the Quest 3 is the way to go. If you have a lot of money to blow and you're looking for that really wow experience, maybe the Apple headset. And if you have a strong enough PC and you really want the best, with the PSVR 2 now offering a way to use it with the PC games, maybe that's a way to go.
I would say the PSVR 2. If you have a gaming PC with a capable
gaming, you got to make sure it's VR ready.
Capable gaming PC, I would go in out PlayStation VR.
Right. If you're looking at families, if you're talking about families too, unless dad's already a gamer, that's probably not a viable route. So, and I mean, having done PC VR, there's still something about just picking your Quest 3 I had the 2, right? But like, same thing, pick the Quest 3 up off the dock, just put it on your head, grab your controllers, jump in and go. So what are like the top 3 games, 5 games that you think are the best developed, easy to play, most enjoyable for the Quest 3, and are they multiplayer or single player?
So what age are you talking about? Is there like a...
Don't care.
So, I mean, I think it really comes down to age. Rec Room is an amazing game. It started off being adults because you had to have, a $1,500, $2,000 PC to play it. Plus, the Rift headset was like $800 when it first came out. So kids weren't getting it for Christmas, and they weren't going out and buying it. So Rec Room was a really cool game where you could build entire worlds. People could, do 3D models. And then there was a lot of little fun activities that you could do. Go play paintball, go do a Rec Royale game, which is a battle royale. And it was fun. And then
Jumbotron.
Now it's more of a kids game, right? Yeah. Because people just think, it's a kids game. Because all the kids got on it when it released for PlayStation VR. And what would happen is you would have kids getting on there that weren't really old enough to do 3D modeling, and they would just abuse things and blow up like something the size of the moon in this little world and crash the servers. So now a lot of the adults have left that, and it's just a kids game, but it's still an amazingly built game. And I think that is a really good game, especially if you're, I would say, 15 and younger, but it tends to be more, from what I've seen, like 9 to 13.
What I would play that game again.
I would
if
too.
You get a team of people like you and like 3, like if you had 4 people, right? Go play Jumbotron. That was fun.
You got to play with people that you know.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you're going to wind up with a bunch of screaming kids.
Playing that game like Jumbotron, or how we did those, they had those events. I had fun with that. The kids, I couldn't stand them talking.
Another one I would say is big screen. Big screen is for watching movies in your own private movie theater and a virtual movie theater. I've met some really cool people in big screen, and I think it's really well developed. And that would be really for any age. Anybody who likes watching movies in movie theaters.
I wouldn't consider it a game, though.
I don't know. Yeah, but I guess really...
But there's community there? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, there's a community there. And I almost wonder if you meant more of apps than just games, because really the apps in VR are so much more than just games. You've got socializing apps for learning, apps for community, and they're not all games, but some of them have games incorporated into it.
So my top 3 games would probably be Beat Saber, because it's a really simple game. It's self-explanatory. I'd say, since it's free now, Population 1. It's a fun game to get into. You can learn. You don't have to worry about, I just spent $40 or $30 on this. It's free. And my third one, I would probably say one of the newer games that are more AR, and it comes with the headset. So when you got your Quest 3, that new game where it was AR, made your house like AR, and you had things pop through the wall.
The little balls invaded through the wall, and you had to shoot them. That was a lot of fun.
That was fun, and that was free, and that came on the headset.
I want more of that. I want more games like that.
That would be my 3.
So for those people that don't know what we're talking about, when you buy the Quest 3 and you're on the home screen, there's a little game that you can do that is an augmented reality where these little balls thingy aliens invade your home, and you blast through with these VR guns through your wall, and you try to rack up points by shooting these balls. It was one of the most wowing, fun experiences I've had in VR, and I want more of that. And I agree with you. I think Beat Saber and Population One are two of the best games out there. I really want to say that there's another one, but I think I've already said there's a lack of VR games.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
There's not
even
a
just for
lack
this,
of
I'm like,
games.
those are good, right? Those are good games, Beat Saber and Population One, but they're not new.
There are a ton of games.
There's
in
a
VR.
lot of games out there, and they're not bad, but the easiest ones you can get into, I feel, are Population One, because it's free, so you don't feel like you don't have to regret your purchase. Everybody knows, everybody loves Beat Saber. You could get in. My dad played it, Beat Saber. Didn't know what he was doing. Figured it out within 5 seconds. I didn't have to explain anything to him. I'm like, hit the boxes. He's like, oh, and he looked like a dancing queen. But it's fun. It's fun to watch, and you can connect it up to your TV. You can stream it to your TV, so you can watch what the people are doing, which is really cool because it's not just like, oh, he's in it, I don't know what he's doing. You can stream.
Yeah, I did like that.
You can stream it to your TV, so you can watch the people play, which I think is cool. So that makes Beat Saber a group activity almost, because like, well, we could take turns to see who gets a better score. Pop One, not so much of a group activity, but it's fun. You get to play with other people.
Now, I would still put Big Screen up there with those apps, even though it's not a game.
I would say that it's in like productivity. I'd say Big Screen is like number 2. But for games, is how Matt asked, is games, and I think those are my games, my personal 3. And one comes with the headset and it's free. Apps, Big Screen's up there. I like the fact, but at the same time, I'd say the web browser.
Yeah, definitely. The web browser, you can do
web
do
browser.
A lot in there.
I mean, because you got Facebook on there, Instagram, all the apps you have on your phone, you kind of have on your headset these days.
So when we're talking about just apps and games, we would say probably Rec Room is definitely up there too.
If you got people and they know the game, I'd say Rec Room, because I like Jumbotron or Ultratron or whatever it was called. I love that, but I would never go on to play by myself.
Exactly where I was, and you know how hardcore I was into that game,
Yeah.
And then I just kind of I was forced out almost by not having adults to play with anymore.
Yeah,
and then went into Population One. So yeah, I think Population One and Beat Saber. And do we have a third game? What was
I said my third game? It was the game that came on the headset. The 3.
Okay.
You have to have the Quest 3 though.
Yeah, it's augmented reality, so it's not on the Quest 2. It's only on the 3.
Yeah,
and it's not a game you have to purchase. It's literally on the headset when you buy it. In fact, it was kind of like a surprise. We didn't even know it was there.
No, I was on the phone with you when I was opening it up. We're like, no way.
Yeah, there's like a little, what was it, like a statue or something you have to point at and shoot to start the game?
I don't remember, but I thought that was
in the
cool.
Oculus home screen.
What kind of game would you want to play, Matt?
Well, see, what I'm waiting for is for like VR to get to a place where you can have like MMORPG.
Well, they have that.
Well, I haven't heard it yet. I mean, I've asked about games like, and I haven't heard anything that's anything remotely like that. And it's got to be done well, right? It has to meet PC standards or exceed them.
It does. There's a game that I really like. I remember when I got it, like, was it 2 years ago? And I was playing it regularly, and you're like, well, I don't know, I just can't get myself into it.
I can't remember. There's Morbus VR or something that's an open world?
Yeah, it was, a massive online multiplayer.
Yeah.
But it was huge, and I loved it. And you tried it, and you just couldn't get into it. But to me, it was like, oh, this is my inner nerd coming out, and this is cool because I'm playing VR, and I'm actually the character now. I really like that, and the fact that they got that many characters in the game where you were in that server. And there's multiple servers, and I think they could only handle like 100 people.
You don't remember the name of the? I don't remember the name of the game that you're talking about.
I mean, I could pull it up on my phone. What is this? I don't remember the Oculus app anymore. What it's called, but I really like that game, and it is exactly what Matt just asked for. So
there are multi what MMOs in VR. The problem is none of them are big mainstream VR games yet. They're more like
niche games.
Yeah,
where
niche games.
The people who want that kind of game, it's there for them. Not everybody's gonna play it. So I was surprised the crowd that it had.
Meta tried, I think, almost with Horizon to create an MMO, but to me it didn't get there.
Right.
The few times I tried it, I didn't really care for that app too much. It was too hard on the controls. There weren't enough people. There was nothing to do when I went to the different worlds, and I wasn't interacting with enough people out there. I wasn't meeting anybody. So I personally, the advertisement, I felt like I was going to love it, and then when I actually got into it, I did not.
Yeah. Right, and I guess that's my point. Is like anybody who knows Steam knows that pretty much any kind of game that you can think of exists on Steam, but it doesn't mean that it was developed well and that its playability is going to entice new crowds. And so if you're going to put money down on one of these headsets, and you only have a handful of things that you either like to do or want to do, like it doesn't, for me, right? I'm like, I don't know that I'm ready to purchase a new system, whether it be the Quest 3, I'm kind of hemming and hawing, so it would be nice to maybe see in the next year, have like a doorbuster, something that comes out that, transcends all the ages, right? The mechanics are well developed, and the playability is there. Well, like you need something that is going to, as the kids would say, be fire, right? Like
it's lit. So, so you have going over here VRNosy talking about his applications, and my number one application would probably be Xbox Game Pass on the Quest.
Haven't tried it yet.
Playing every VR game or every Xbox Game Pass game on the headset is awesome.
Now, when you play it, it's like playing in like a movie theater?
It's like playing in a movie theater. You play and you stream right there, and you could be anywhere. I was laying in my bed and I was playing Halo, and I was dying a lot because I had the screen too big for me. So, I mean, like, I look over here, I'm getting shot from where I didn't realize it because I had it too big. But I think it's so cool playing Forza on there is really cool. I loved it.
The one thing you can't go wrong with the Quest 3 is that even if you don't ever get into a game, you can, or like a VR game, you can always use it for like you were talking about playing your regular Xbox games through Game Pass, or media and movies and augmented reality or VR.
Well, here's another one. All right, and this would go in here with what Matt was saying. So Matt was saying he likes Steam a lot, and what I would like to have is
no. I don't like Steam a lot. It's a good reference point.
No, it's Steam. No, it's Steam. Like, you like Steam because it has all the games you could ever want.
No. I'm saying it has any game you could think of or dream of, but like it doesn't mean. Okay, anybody who is on Steam knows they have a library that is probably 10 times larger than what they need, right?
But this is what I'm getting to. I can play all my Steam games on my headset.
With your Quest 3?
Yeah, on the Quest 3. And I think you can.
That is cool. That is very cool.
So it has Steam Link. It has Steam Link.
Uh-huh.
So I can play my Steam VR games. I can play any Steam flat screen game.
Do they just need to make a headset that allows you to do that and maybe is really light so that it's not as heavy on your head for long terms?
So you have the PlayStation Portal, right?
Yeah.
I have a PlayStation Portal. I have issues sometimes with the PlayStation Portal. Imagine trying to play VR with that much frame drop and lag. I don't know if I would do that. I mean, it's plausible, but I wouldn't do it. But I liked it because I was playing my video games and my PC video games on my headset. I was like, no way.
I could see you doing that for short bursts, but yeah, I don't know that I would.
I laid in my bed until my headset died.
Really?
Yeah, I laid in my bed till my headset died, and I had my controller hooked up, and it's so easy to connect the controller. I just pushed the Xbox button, bam, and I was playing PC VR. I was playing PC VR. I was playing all my other games, and I can see, then there's a workaround. So games that are not Steam games, you know how. You don't have. I can play any game on my PC using Steam Link.
So I know we're getting short on time, but I have one point to make to every listener. If you have not tried VR and you have a friend or you know somebody, there's this rift of experience, right? Like before I ever purchased a VR headset, and I think you guys could attest to this as well, you don't know what to expect. There is a magic when you put one on and you do anything, whatever app or game you try out. There's an experience that cannot be put into words. There's nothing like it. And I would really highly recommend anyone, if you know somebody, just to figure out what is this all about. Why do some people just rave about this? I think that is the reason why VR really hasn't caught on, is like, you almost need to sample it. You need to sample it before you buy it.
Definitely.
I think if there was a way where people could like go into a Best Buy and they had a couple of headsets on demo, that people could just pick up, put on, and just be. I think it would pick up. I think it would sell.
I think you're right. I think a lot of people who don't get into VR just haven't tried it. And while VR isn't where it was, say, even a year and a half ago in terms of really, it had a lot of interest all of a sudden, and then it kind of died down. I think a lot of people who have in the past said, VR is dying, and it really wasn't at that point in time. Those were people who never tried VR, and they never really got into it.
They assume things. Now, I'll say this. 4 years ago, Today is Tomorrow did an interview with Erik for President, big YouTuber for VR, and back then it was a lot different. There was a lot of promise, and I think it's not the new hip thing anymore. So it's people who have their opinions are stuck with their opinions. I mean, that's in general with a lot of things. It was new back then. There's a lot of excitement, but a lot of people who started getting into it over 10 years ago now, almost, they're kind of growing out of it because they're growing up.
The enthusiasts in VR aren't the enthusiasts.
They're not making
anymore.
new ones. Yeah. That's the problem. Is Meta and all these other companies aren't creating new people who want it. So I feel like that's the problem. And then now it's like, well, now we have to make our kids like it. My son likes it. I mean, I know a lot of people who have headsets and they got them and I played it once. So
I've heard that a lot too.
So I mean, doing the interview with Erik for President like 6 years ago on our season 2, 5 years ago, whatever it was, I had fun.
I know, we're getting old.
I had fun. I think that the podcast has been around this long is crazy. But I'm just really excited about it. I had fun with it. So much more things you could do with it. I could see Matt doing VR again soon. I have mine here. You're up here. You're always.
I'm still excited for the future of VR, even though it might not have the as much excitement around it right now as it did. I'm still excited for where the technology is going, and I think Apple is pushing boundaries. I think Meta is really pushing, the affordable and the software side together. And I'm 10 years from now, even if VR starts to die down right now, I think in 10 years, we're going to see something really amazing because the technology is coming and the augmented reality technology is coming.
Yeah. Well,
yeah, VR's kind of been in its Atari phase. I mean, like, thinking of two-dimensional gaming, right? It started out at Atari, and then, like, now we've got whatever, we had PS5, like the 5th gen console gaming,
7th gen.
I think 7th gen, whatever. Anyways, anyway, there is time. Like, I think it'll catch up, and you always have your niche groups that get on board early and they're all about it. But I agree. As the technology progresses, and I mean that exponential curve has just it's crazy. Like, we're going into outer space with this stuff. And the advent of AI, I think that'll definitely play a role once developers figure out how that's going to be incorporated exactly. Like, it's still kind of in this concept phase.
It's growing. People are learning how to work with it.
I think AR and AI are going to be very, very integrated in the future.
I feel like they are already.
They are. They definitely are.
They're
going to
the
be
meta glasses.
They're not already. They're not there yet. Because if they were, like, this would be widespread.
Well, I feel like the meta glasses are there. The meta glasses are a lot more than they were with the 1st gen.
Well, you're the only one with them, so I can't speak on that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, the on-demand AI, we can look at something and say, what is this? And it tells you exactly what it is, and you can ask questions like, "Give me information about this," and it'll tell you. I really like that.
But just because the technology exists doesn't mean it's affordable for it to be widespread.
Yeah, I feel like the glasses are actually at a very decent, respectful price.
Well, you can't be trusted with prices. Let's just be honest.
Well, for what they are, for the being Ray-Bans and the technology and them, the audio.
Oh, Ray-Bans. Yeah, that's a name that just says inexpensive.
Well, $250 to like $400 is actually, I feel like, a decent price for the glasses and what they offer. You got to think phones these days are over $1,000, so have good cameras.
Well, but I mean, families right now, grocery bills are anywhere between $600 and
if you're gonna be
$1,500.
buying a Quest 3, you definitely have money for.
Well, I think the Quest 3 is something that you can almost buy for the family if you have a family, right?
And switch it around, yeah.
And the glasses are more, if you're an adult like us and you've got the money and you can afford that extra little bit of money to go out and have that, I think then that's who that's for. But the Quest 3, you could spend that, the same amount of money, but maybe, if you got a couple kids, everybody's using that headset. It's not just one person.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a difference there.
Well, as an influencer, I mean, I have a little bit more things, and it's nice to have, and having a podcast, we have a little bit more things than you with your YouTube channel and whatnot. And I mean, you're not just a little YouTube channel.
I'm not big either, though.
You're not super big. You don't have millions, but I mean, you're not little, and you have a lot of influence. You have big companies asking for your opinion.
I have had companies reach out to me, and they wanted me to review their products or ask for my opinion about a product. I think, for me, it was always about really just putting out real information out there and making sure that people knew what to buy, because when I started VR, there wasn't that. And I'm almost even happy, though, that I don't have to do videos on accessories anymore, because there's not as many accessories and we don't need them. Now, there's a couple things that we could still use, but I would rather have a solid headset than to have to buy, $150 worth of accessories for my headset.
I don't even want to get into that.
I will say to the listeners too, like, having had the Quest 2, I would absolutely entertain getting the Quest 3. Yeah, absolutely, hands down.
I highly recommend. If people can afford to get the Quest 3 over the Quest 2, recommend it 100%. If you can't, the Quest 2 is still a great headset.
Yeah, you're not getting a bad deal if you get a Quest 2.
It is still a great headset, and it plays a lot of the games that the Quest 3 can play. It plays almost all of them.
And if you have kids, or you're just like, I don't want to go all in, but I still kind of want to know what this VR thing is, it is. It's a great place to start, and you won't be disappointed. You won't be.
It's a great one.
Because there's just nothing else to compare it to.
And if you live in a small apartment,
you either VR'd or you haven't VR'd.
Yeah, if you live in a small apartment or you're in a camper or something like that, I mean, you put on the headset, you can go anywhere your mind wants to go. So,
right.
Definitely.
Actually, I'm thinking about this because I got Starlink. I could just be out in the field there, twirling around or whatever, playing Beat Saber, and I'm sure that the other campers would love the show.
I want a video of that.
Yeah, that would be fun. So I want to thank everybody. I want to thank having Glenn Powell, VRNosy, on the episode today. It's been fun. I appreciate it. And Matt joined us from the middle of nowhere. And
hey guys.
Yeah, so I want to thank everybody. Thank you for listening. Make sure you share. Let us know what you think. And till next time, this is Today's Tomorrow.